Welcome to the Namibia Business School. Professor Grafton White, Director of the Namibia Business School. The course today is Gigonomics, a toolbox for gig entrepreneurs. Thank you for taking part. Welcome back, those of you that already participated in these sessions, and this is session number 4. We'll just remind ourselves, Gigonomics is about understanding work in the post-coronavirus economy, where many people have to learn how to work as gig entrepreneurs and not employees, embrace the uncertainty of working in the gig economy, work with a portfolio of gigs or portfolio of opportunities that they are using to create an income, and derive their main source of income from gig working rather than from full-time employment. CVs will be a record of great performances and not just time spent in individual places of work. So what are key capacity areas? We've said that in the gig economy, gig entrepreneurs need to have knowledge of the products or services that they can deliver. Operations, that's how those products or services are created. Dealing with and leading human capital or people. Understanding their customers and markets, which is the subject of today's session. Being able to keep count, finance, and running businesses that are sustainable for the future. That's our strategy. And we say these are the core areas, core skills that we believe that gig entrepreneurs will need to know and to learn. And these sessions are about delivering 1 or 2 tools in each of these areas to enable gig entrepreneurs to hit the ground running and hopefully deliver successful businesses over the years to come, certainly in the post-COVID environment. Let's recap on session 3 very briefly. Session 3, we talked about human capital, not human resources. People are not resources as such, but people are the repository of innovation and ideas. And we saw that the gig entrepreneur needs to understand how to tap in to the capital reservoirs of individual human beings with their creative ideas and creative energy. So we talk about harnessing your energy and the energy of others to realize your vision. We said that the key tool that we introduced last week was emotional intelligence. And we said emotional intelligence consists of the sort of 5 core areas: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. These are the 5 key elements of emotional intelligence, which we argued that gig entrepreneurs need to develop these areas and turn them into areas of strength that they can use to manage their orbit of people, suppliers, customers, associates, and all the people that they have to interface with, government bodies or regulatory bodies, all of these areas where they want to deal with and got to interface with and get these people to buy into their vision. So emotional intelligence is a key skill, key tool that we introduced last week. This week we're talking about customers and markets. In this session we really help you to find markets, develop customers, and close those deals that you need to survive. So we've broken this topic down into 3 areas and the tools within each of those areas. So the 3 core areas are marketing, sales, customer experience, and within those, within marketing, the 4 C's of marketing. Within sales, we're going to look at the spend model and win-win negotiation. And within customer experience, we're going to look at what's called the service exchange model. Moving right ahead, marketing. Let's chat. What's the difference between marketing and advertising? There's a lot of confusion about those 2 ideas. and want to help you by clarifying straight away what's the difference between those two areas. So use the chat as usual. Throw up some ideas for me very quickly. What's the difference between marketing and advertising? Thank you. Some ideas coming through now. Difference between marketing and advertising. Okay, so advertising is about promoting a product or service. Yes, thank you, Leon, on that one, advertising. But marketing is about increasing brand awareness. Yes, clearly that's one aspect of marketing. Thank you, Leon. Anyone else? Charlton, thank you. Advertising equals promotion. Okay, certainly. Advertising is a small part of marketing. Thank you, thank you. Marketing could possibly come up with plans to make your customers aware of your products or services. Excellent. Thank you, Silas. That's a great contribution. Yes, that's very much the idea that they've been brought through. That advertising is just one part of promotion, which is just one part of the marketing mix or the marketing portfolio. To be successful at marketing our product services, we need to have a broader view of marketing. We're going to introduce you to a tool that will help you do this. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is a short video, which will just introduce us to this idea and the difference between the two. Okay.
The Hernandez family is dropping their youngest daughter, Gabby, off for her freshman year at college. But before the proud parents say their goodbyes, they decide to head down the block to grab a cup of coffee. It sounds like a simple proposition, but for the Hernandez family and billions of other consumers, a cup of coffee means different things to different people. Gabby loves a good, independent coffee spot that utilizes artisanal beans. Her mom, Marcia, prefers a coffee chain like Starbucks that delivers a consistent experience no matter what city she's in. And Gabby's dad just wants a plain cup of decaf. To him, coffee is best when it's plain, hot, and cheap. Three consumers, three very different ideas about the value of that cup of joe. Value looks at what the customer gets relative to what they give up. If the customer gets back more than what he gives up, that's a successful value exchange. But if the customer gets back less than what he gave up, well, he's not likely to make a return visit. Creating value is essential. In fact, it is the fundamental purpose of marketing. Businesses depend on the right marketing mix, comprised of the 4 Ps, to create the maximum value for their target customers. Gabby thinks of coffee in terms of an experience. She enjoys independent coffee places that cultivate a cozy vibe, offer free Wi-Fi, and use only local artisanal beans. She knows her coffee is going to take longer to make and cost more, but in Gabby's mind, she's getting back more than what she's giving up. It's a positive value exchange. When Marcia thinks about coffee, she sees the value in a business model like $5. High-quality coffee drinks made to order quickly, conveniently, and consistently for what she considers a fair price, whether she's inside her local grocery store or visiting someone on the other side of the country. Gabby's dad, however, has no interest in all that fancy stuff. He's happy refilling his travel mug for 25 cents at his local donut shop and moving on with his day. It's no frills, just straight drip that's priced right and hits the spot. Each family member relies on promotions to become aware of the different value propositions coffee marketers offer, as well as the availability of product attributes and benefits that matter to them. So the definition of value shifts depending on what each customer is looking for. It's up to every business, whether they provide a good, service, or idea, to maximize value and satisfy their customers' needs by creating their own special blend of the 4 Ps.
So, in that video, we saw that marketing actually is a more complex idea than just straight advertising. It includes advertising, but it actually goes beyond that. It's about, and we saw in the marketing mix, it incorporates the idea of setting the right price, getting the right product, rather, starting there, getting the right product, setting the right price, positioning in the place where you deliver this product, and the promotion of the product. So it is a much more complex idea, a much more all-embracing idea. And it's about delivering value to the customer. So, you know, it's a wider concept than just a simple advertising or promotion of a particular product. But I want us to stop there, because that the marketing mix, or 4 Ps, is just one idea. And the idea of the 4 Ps tends to focus more on from the product point of view. But we want to take that idea and move it a step further. I want you to focus on looking at another marketing model called Lauterboom's 4 Cs of marketing. And he argued that the 4 Cs should start with the consumer, then look at the cost to satisfy that consumer's wants and needs, the convenience to buy the product, and communication. And obviously, these ideas are not a million miles away from the 4 Ps that we just saw. So product is linked with the consumer, what the consumer's wants and needs are. The price, instead of focusing on price, which is from the supplier's point of view, we look at the cost of satisfying the customer's need. The place, which we talk about positioning under the 4 Ps, but we actually now talk about convenience of bringing that product or service to the customer, and promotion aligns very closely with communication. So if we take this a step further, I want to focus on each of these areas and expand each of these areas for us during this part of the talk or the webinar. So first of all, let's start with consumers' wants and needs, or consumers' wants and needs. Everybody recognizes this brand, Nokia. Nokia was the number 1 seller of mobile phones for many years, and dominated the market before the smartphone came into existence, came into its own. And the problem was that Nokia took a product-led approach. They developed their products and they kept developing new products, but weren't really listening to the customers. So they took a product-led approach rather than a customer-led approach. And when the smartphone technology came into play, the likes of Samsung and Apple, because they were listening closely to the needs of their customers, the wants and needs of their customers, they quickly dominated the market, and the pole position held by Nokia quickly diminished. Over a period of just a very few years, Nokia failed as a business, and eventually no longer exist. And they weren't the only ones that suffered in that market change. BlackBerry, which was sort of the phone used by many business people at the time, dominated the business market, also failed not long after Nokia. So it's really important that we take a customer-centric view concerning our products and services that we want to deliver. Remember, this was very much the point that was picked up in session 1 in our design thinking. We start with a problem and look at that problem from the customer's point of view. So you need to define your target market. That's another way of saying the same thing. Defining your target market. What are your customers? Who are your customers, and what do they want? And that's not a simple question. Who are your customers? Well, your customers can be defined by occupation. They can be defined by income. They can be defined by location. They can also be defined by gender, male or female. They can be defined by age range, 25, 37, 39, their values, their hobbies. So there's all sorts of ways that you can target market. So there are key questions you need to ask. My customers, my market, where do they live? How old are they? What gender are they? What is their cultural background? So these are all very, very important questions you need to ask to target your market. And once you identify where your market is and who the customers are in your market, you need to find out what their wants and needs are, as we talked about earlier. So let's just give an example. For example, age group. Age group is not as simple as it sounds. I mean, over our last few years, we've got now a number of age groupings that have been defined by marketers. So you've got the baby boomers from 1946 to 64, born in that period. Generation X's, born 65 to 1980. Generation Y, 81 to 99. And anybody born after 2000, Generation Z. Now, this is important because we see that some of the major events that took place or have taken place in the lifespans of these different age groups. And we see their attitudes to certain things, to work, to loyalty, to relationships, and to technology has changed over time. So our Generation Zs are very mistrustful of the political systems, even though that's been a feature that's been evolving for quite a while. But, they are always connected, always taking selfies, multitasking, never focused. That's another way of saying the same thing. Whereas your baby boomers, which I am proudly to be associated with, are the explorers. We're optimistic, very work-centric. In fact, we're workaholics. And we created the technology that these guys have so obsessed with. So different attitudes, different approaches to things, and different things going on during our lifetimes. So affecting our outlook on life and the way that we engage with the society. These differences have a profound effect on our choices as consumers, and therefore the products that we will buy. So it's very important that we get a deep understanding of those things. Okay, so let's chat. Imagine you're going to buy a car. What features would you look for? This is our chat. Just chat. You're going to buy a car. The car's for your purpose. What are the features you're going to look for? Give me some ideas. Thank you. I saw a vote there for the baby boomers. We appreciate the baby boomers. They've given us the mobile phone and apps and all the rest of it. Yep, you're all welcome. So, what do we look for? A couple of votes for fuel consumption, fuel efficient. Kume, Jenny, talking about fuel consumption. Goodness, all of you guys are really concerned about fuel consumption. Fuel efficient. Okay, so we've got one vote for reliability. Future-proof. Future-proof, okay. Then safety, comfort, and durability. Thank you, Charlton. Affordability. Thank you. That's good. Good. Oh, Jenny, design. Thank you. Thank you for being honest, Jenny. Ifram saying fuel consumption, history, comfort, and reliability. I think he's saying there. Kumi, beauty. Yes, we want good-looking cars. Absolutely. Okay, so those are great ideas. Those are great inputs. Let's take the second question. If we just move on, and the next question is: now imagine your parents. Now imagine your parents are going to buy a car. What features do you think they will look for? Okay, some answers coming through. Load capacity, I love it. Load capacity, right, for all the kids. I've got it. A red Audi Q7. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm not even sure what a red Audi Q7 looks like. Space, good, for all the kids. Price, definitely price, definitely price. Reliability, yeah, you want to be driving in it, not under it all the time. Okay, quality, Alpheus, excellent. Reliability, comfort, and a service plan. Of course we want the service plan. Yes, Jenny, 4x4. Fantastic. Can you see the sort of things that we've gone away from? You know, we've gone away from, you know, the price, overwhelming sense of price and fuel efficiency to reliability and size. It seems to be sort of the main differentiator in this discussion. Now imagine if you were having to share the car between these two generations. So what this exercise did, very simple exercise, what it did was bring out a couple of things here. That cars, you know, a car is a product, but if it's going to satisfy the market, then you've got to target the market specifically that you're looking at, and especially for car market, you need to segment that market, and you need to segment that market by age, and maybe segment that market by occupation, and basically segmenting means to sort of subdivide the market into smaller groups that you can target specifically. There's no point building a car that is going to be and try to make that all things to all people. It never will work because the car market is very sophisticated. Simple, a similar idea here on this slide is that banks offer different accounts for different consumers, yeah, and for different income levels and for different configurations of customers, because their needs, people's needs for banking services changes over time, changes as they get older, take on more responsibility, have perhaps more debt as they move on in their 30s and 40s because they're building families, etc., etc. So the banking needs changes considerably. So we need to understand the market that we're targeting, and the segment of that market is also important. So let's try this out. Remember our cake baking example a couple of sessions ago? Our cake company has got two markets, two dominant markets. One's to corporate clients and one to individuals. What do you think would be the differences between these two market groups? Well, firstly, for your corporate clients, they're going to want cakes for business functions, whereas your individual clients are going to want cakes for private events. So the corporate clients are going to want larger, more frequent orders, but the individual clients or private clients are going to want smaller, occasional orders, you know, at birthdays, anniversaries, etc. The corporate clients are going to look for small cakes. They don't want huge cakes. They want small cakes, cupcakes, muffins, rather than large celebration cakes for a private client. They really want their promotional branding on the cakes if they can. They want to promote their organization. Whereas on the individual client, there's going to be some personalized decoration, perhaps the name of the baby or the child. Or remember we talked about, you know, maybe dressing up in the attire of the birthday boy or girl's favorite superhero, something like that. So to put some kind of personalization in the whole product. And with the corporate clients, this is going to be formal quotes, invoices in line with the procurement processes, because these are official acquisitions or official purchases, I should say. Whereas with the private client, it's going to be much more informal, and formal quotes and receipts, and that whole process will be a lot more personal. So you see the two approaches. You know, it's the same business, cake baking, but you've segmented your client base or your market based on whether the clients are corporate clients or individual clients. So in summary, the 4 C's. To make it work for you, you need to identify your target market. You need to research the wants and needs of the customers in that target market. And check, do we need to segment the market? Is it, are we painting with a broad brush and that brush is too big? Maybe we need to segment the market to be specific to a particular segment within that market. And you need to tailor our products or services to each of those segments. Otherwise, we could find ourselves in a position where we're trying to sell things to customers and we're not hitting the target precisely. Okay, so the second C in the 4 C's of marketing is cost. And this is cost to satisfy the customer. I think you need to look at this in two ways. There's the cost to the company and the cost of actually delivering the product or services to the customer, or getting the product to the customer, and the cost that the customer engages with, or the cost that the customer experiences in taking your product. So the cost to satisfy the customer. So it's an interesting approach. For instance, what's the cost of the consumer going to the cinema? Give me some ideas. What do you think is the cost of the consumer going to the cinema? We know what the cost is to the company. All they've got to do is deliver the film at the cinema, run the film. We know what those costs are. But what's the cost to the consumer of going to see that film? Give me some ideas here. Transport fees, absolutely. Ticket fees, yes, those obvious ones. Ticket fees, transport fees. Snack fees, absolutely. Fees to snacking. Some people are giving me prices no less than 200. Remember, we've got international audiences here, so if that's $200, Namibian dollars, not US dollars. Time involved in going to the cinema. Thank you. And some other examples coming through. Yeah, let me give you some examples. The time and energy to book the ticket. So often you've got to book the ticket. Entertaining a friend who you take to the cinema. Well done, Charlton. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or the kids, if you've got to take the kids, it could be a very expensive afternoon. Yeah. Time and energy to book the tickets, because often cinema you book the tickets in advance. Time and energy to go to the cinema. Transport, parking costs. All of this contributes to the cost of satisfying the customer. Collecting the tickets, buying refreshments, etc., and pacifying the kids if you're taking the kids on. So there are other costs involved in satisfying the customer's needs. When do customers want to pay more or are willing to pay more? Yeah. Psychologists tell us that consumers associate price with quality. Yeah. They associate price with quality. So to a certain degree, and it's not hard and fast, but to a certain degree, if the price is too cheap, they may consider the product to be of inferior quality. So again, the pricing is quite a tricky thing to get right. So it's not always about being the cheapest, because being the cheapest may send the wrong signal about your products. Especially if I'm in the cake baking business, I want to sell my cakes at a reasonable cost that sends the message that these are a quality product and we're not necessarily the cheapest product on the market. Okay, but we offer a quality service and a high quality product. So this is certainly the case when you think about Apple products, iPhones, Apple Mac computers. They are priced at a premium price. at a premium level, so they're higher than the average, and they are deliberately set at that level because Apple wants to suggest that its products are of superior quality than the competitors. So this is a way of differentiating themselves in the market, and we talked about that in operations, I think a couple of weeks ago. So price is not equal to cost to the consumer. And a lot of business people think that costs to the consumer and price are the same things. They're not the same things, and they shouldn't be confused. We all think many of us think of price as the money it costs to buy a product, but cost to satisfy a consumer is a different concept altogether, and sometimes it links into the topic we're going to pick up later, which is convenience. Sometimes we can actually have a product really good, but it's really inconvenient for the customer to engage or to acquire our product. It's too expensive, not the ticket price of the product, but the cost to the consumer of actually acquiring the product that or service that we're offering. So this relates back to our value chain idea. You know, how much does it cost to get the product or service to the customer, and how much effort does the customer have to employ to get and to consume our service? Okay, so how can I price my products or service? So this is the idea that we're moving towards, is that we're making a difference, we're making a distinction between price and costs, and the costs can be two lots of costs. There's the cost of us, or cost to the company of producing and supplying the product, and the cost to the consumer of buying and engaging with our services. So how can we price? How do we go about pricing? And this is a really key area for gig entrepreneurs, because one of the big issues that many entrepreneurs face is how to set a price for their products or service. So give me some ideas. How would you go about setting the price for your products or service? Anyone, give me some ideas. Some ideas coming through now. So look at the price of our competitors. Absolutely right, Silas. Simba, our accountant, cost plus margin. Love it. Absolutely. Demand and supply. Charlton, thank you. That's a great idea. I need to cover my cost, then add something for profit. Yep, absolutely. Value to a value-based pricing approach. Yep, great. Well, all of these are difficult when you're a new business, you just enter into the market, and we're struggling to identify where we should set our price. And I tell you what, for a lot of entrepreneurs, the biggest error in this space is actually setting the price too low. You would be surprised. It's not setting the price too high. It's more often or not setting the price too low. So here's a simple formula that we use to identify price: starting price, an opening price. So one of the things that is easy for us to identify is the variable cost. What's the cost of actually delivering the product or service? So we calculate the direct cost of doing the job or the assignment. That's our variable cost. So for instance, if we're an accountant preparing tax returns for a small business, then we can work out our professional fees, hourly fee or hourly rate for working on that particular job. So we're usually able to, if we're baking cake, we know the variable cost of the ingredients that go into making that particular cake, and the electricity and the heating and whatever that we use, the electricity rather we're using, or gas we're using to bake the cake. So these are our direct variable costs. Once we've identified those, we simply multiply that by 3. Why by 3? Well, you've got 3 portions. You've got your variable cost, then you have your fixed costs, and then your profit. So what we're saying, in a simple model, we take a variable cost, that's going to be 1/3 of our price, and then our fixed cost is going to be the second third of our price, and then profit is the other third. It's a very simple idea, but you'd be surprised how effective it is. So we've worked out that the variable cost of us, let's say take our cake baking example, maybe to make cakes for birthday is going to cost us, I'm going to use currencies now, let's use the dollar. It's going to cost us $50 to make these cakes, just by simple argument. Then what's the price that we set on it? Then it's 50 multiplied by 3 is $150. How do we get that? We're saying that simply our variable cost is 1/3. The fixed costs are things like heating, lighting, tax returns, paying things that are not directly linked to the production of the product. And then we say 1/3 for our profit. That's a very simple model. It then gives you a starting price, and then you can, looking at your competitors, looking at the market issues, you can then adjust the price up or down depending on what the market conditions are. But this gives you a really simple rule of thumb from which to work, or position from which to work. Somebody says, what if my business does not have a variable cost? Interesting. That's going to be very unusual. If you're delivering a service, it has a variable cost. It's your time to deliver that service. If you're delivering a product, it's the direct cost of creating that product. So it's very, very unlikely you're going to be in a position where you do not have variable costs. You may not have recognized it's a variable cost, but it's very likely that you will have a variable cost. If you've got a specific example, then we're happy to pick it up. But variable cost is the cost of actually, and I'll get the question from Charlton, what's the variable cost is the direct variable cost. It's direct cost of actually producing the product or service. So for instance, we talked on the value chain. I don't want to complicate it, but we talked about the value chain. There's a value chain are the primary costs associated with delivering a particular product. So the car, for instance, earlier we talked about cars. The variable cost would be the cost of manufacturing that specific car. Yeah. So the engine for that car, the bodywork for that car, the paint work for that car, that's going to have a specific cost. And if you manage your business properly, you'll be able to understand how much that costs. So for instance, a particular, maybe a small vehicle will be 10,000, 5,000, let's say 5,000 for, I'm talking dollars, $5,000 for the cost of making a specific car. Then the fixed cost is the plant and machinery, the manufacturing process that takes to make the engine, the manufacturing process that takes to make the bodywork of the car. You can't break those costs down to specific cars because they're fixed costs. You have to put in a huge infrastructure. So those are your fixed costs. The heating, electricity that goes on to support that manufacturing operation. Those are your fixed costs. If I stop making cars, those costs are still with me. So those are your overhead costs, as we call them. But this is just a very simple model. And then we say that if those make up 2/3 of our price, then the other third is our profit. And it makes it allows you to have a bird's eye view of the price structure of your price structure of your products. And then you can adjust it up or down depending on market conditions, but at least you know what your costs look like. And a lot of people only take into account the variable cost, the cost of actually making the product or service, and add a little bit of profit on top. And then they're surprised at the end of the year when they do all their accounts to find that they haven't really properly factored in their fixed costs, the costs of staff and other things, tax costs to the taxman, to the revenue service, those fixed costs, and they've already gone and spent the money to buy a new car. Gig entrepreneur wants to have a new fast car. This is just a simple model to help you steer your business in the right direction. Okay, so a simple pricing formula to help you get started. Other pricing strategies that you might want to take into account: volume discounts, product segmentation, so you segment your product for a higher value or a higher price product or a lower price product. Price segmentation, you segment on the basis of price. So the higher price products go to a different segment of the market versus a lower price product or mass produced product. Cross subsidization, subscriptions, retainer fees, early bird offers, all of these ways are different ways of allowing you to price your products and allowing you to be flexibility in the pricing of your products. Okay. Convenience. We touched on this already, and I noticed we did have another question. How do I price a bed and breakfast? Okay, let me take that one just before we finish. How do I price a bed and breakfast? Well, the direct cost of providing a bed and breakfast, clearly the bed, you've got to make the room available. There's going to be a cost in making the room available. Now, you don't put the price of the bed and the price of the furniture in the room. Those are fixed. But you put the price of or the cost of arranging the room and making the room available. So that's people going in there, cleaning the room, making the room available. Maybe there's electricity in the room specifically for that room. So if there's a meter, you know what the specific costs associated with making that room available for a particular occupant. And the breakfast is, again, the cost of making breakfast for people in that room. So, typically they're going to want English breakfast or continental breakfast, whatever. What's the cost of that? Once you understand that cost, let's say that cost is, $30, then you know that taking you need another $30 for your fixed costs, the general electricity, general heating, general staff, support staff, etc., salaries. So you take another third for that, and then 1/3 for your profit. So you know that all things being equal, the price of a room per night is going to be $150 minimum. Yeah. So again, it's just a simple model, simple rule of thumb. And then obviously you would look at the $150 and compare that with your competitors. What are other people charging? If yours is way below, then you say, well, why is mine so cheap when other people, because they may be taking other factors into account that you may be leaving out. And if yours is way over the top of the competitors, you can say, why am I so expensive? And then look at and make those relevant adjustments. Thank you very much for that question. Okay, so we're now looking at convenience, the third C in the mix. Convenience to buy. Convenience talks about giving the customer access to your products and services no matter how they want to purchase. And we're living in a 24/7 economy, and customers want to be able to access product and services at a time that's convenient to them. So that means, online, via online shopping, so access to the internet through smartphones, through tablets, and finding the best deals through price comparisons. And some people just can't be bothered. Some people will have a preferred channel and they will use that channel. So location is important because it provides convenient access to the customer. So convenience is thinking of ease of access that will provide alternative means by which the customer can access our products and services. So it doesn't matter what you're offering, you've really got to think about, am I making it easy for my customer to get this product or service that I'm offering? If you're not, and other people are, the likelihood, even if they're charging a bit extra for their products or services, they're going to have an advantage over you. And then finally, communication. Communication relates to promotion, but the emphasis here is on a two-way communication, whereas promotion emphasizes the message that we're broadcasting out to potential customers, but communication emphasizes the fact that it's a dialogue, it's an interchange between us and the customer. So communication needs to be, with customers, needs to be clear, it needs to be credible, it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be competitive. Yeah. So clears make it easy for the customers to understand what you're saying. Credible, you need to align yourself with your target audience and values. So being authentic and being honest. It's got to be consistent. The look and feel of your message, branding, in other words, needs to be consistent, and the messaging needs to be competitive. You've got to be bold, you've got to be competitive, you've got to show that your product matches up to the competitors and is better than. So clear, your brand is instantly recognizable and evokes feelings that you want your customers to feel. It's credible. Is your message believable? If you're saying it's the best thing since sliced bread, then it needs to be a credible message. You need to be consistent. Are your messages consistent with your brand? And it's got to be competitive. Does your brand stand out? The purpose of communication and marketing is to convince potential customers that the product or service will satisfy his or her deepest needs, and they will want better than any possible alternative. And then secondly, to impel the customer to make an immediate buy decision. How can you engage in two-way interactions with your customers? Certainly online. Let me just, there's a short video here on social media for small business. Really useful, really interesting. Let's go, let's have a look at this.
Hey guys, I'm Tori with Bella Canvas. And this video is all about Social Media 101 for small businesses. We've gotten a lot of questions about this topic, so we wanted to do a brief overview for you. And if you like these kinds of topics, let us know by subscribing to our channel and liking this video. Also, what's your favorite and least favorite social media platforms as a consumer? We'd love to see your answers in the comment section below. Most businesses understand the importance of social media marketing, but some struggle to know where to start. In this video, we're going to break down Social Media Marketing 101 guidelines that we follow here at Bella Canvas. First, a big mistake some small businesses encounter is trying to tackle social media all at once. We know it can be overwhelming, so we encourage you to take your time and invest in the right 1 or 2 platforms that work best for you. Sprout Social has great guides that cover how small businesses can navigate each main network. For example, if your goal is community and relationship building, you may want to first focus on Facebook. If you're more focused on brand awareness and discovery, then Instagram may be the best for you. You can check out all the guides in the description below. Once you've chosen which platforms you're going to focus on, you're going to need to determine your content strategy. A big mistake a lot of brands make is to haphazardly post content. Studies show that more customers are actually going to go to your social media channels before they're even checking out your website. So you're going to want to make sure that everything you post is in line with your brand's mission and aesthetic. And be authentic to who you are. Show some personality. Social media is a great place to show a lighter side to you and your brand. But be sure to establish a voice and make sure that all brand messaging falls in line. And even if you're small, you can create a really strong loyalty on social media as long as you stay consistent and transparent. After you determine your strategy, you'll want to create a content calendar. What this looks like is totally up to you and your team, but at Belly Canvas, we love a good Google Doc. We map out a plan every 2 weeks that shows what content will be shared where. So how often should you post? Well, there's a lot of different theories out there for different platforms, but the important thing is to really just be consistent. Most marketers believe that posting several times a day is best, but don't do that unless you have enough content to be consistent in your aesthetic and voice. Once we map out our posts, we then use a scheduling tool to make sure that all the trains leave the station at the right time. We recommend that you do your research on which scheduling tools work best for you and your team, but Hootsuite, TweetDeck, and Sprout Social are all great options. If you're made up of a small team, you're going to need to be efficient with your content production. So take advantage of your customers and social audience. Encourage them to post images and tag you or use a hashtag. Then repurpose those for yourself. We do this all the time at Belly Canvas because our customers do such unique things with our product. This is called user-generated content, or UGC. Also, use social media as a way to interact with your community. Use direct messages or DMs as a way to generate business and conversation. And don't be afraid to get involved with trending topics. This doesn't mean you should post on every social holiday, but look at the calendar ahead of time and see which ones fit in with your branding, and then be sure to use the right hashtags. You should take advantage of sweepstakes and giveaways too. It's a great way to grow your audience. We also encourage you to check out other small organizations in your industry on social media and see what's working for them. Specifically on Instagram, there are hundreds of brands that can give you inspiration for content ideas, so don't be afraid to learn from them. We hope that.
Okay, now if you're a baby boomer like me, half of that messaging I did not understand because most of the words in there, I had no clue what she was talking about. But for most of you, I'm sure you will understand a lot of the things that she was talking about, being millennials, etc. But can you see that's really important to understand the whole social media environment that you're working with? So there's some key messages that came out from that video. You know, choose your platform, post regularly and consistently, create a content calendar and work with it, post on trending topics, leverage user-generated content, offer giveaways and explore other brands for inspiration. You see, this is a full-time job and really very much in sync with the generations of customers and users that you're going to be targeting, especially as gig entrepreneurs. So it's a lot of interesting work that's being done there, and we would encourage you to engage with that, as we certainly are within the business school. Okay, moving on. So those are the 4 C's that we've dealt with. Moving on, we're looking at sales here, and we want to deal with this very quickly. There are lots of things, lots of material on sales. There are lots of sales, great sales techniques, great sales models that you can be using. Because sales is one of the oldest professions in history. So there's huge amount of things you could do. I think the message we want to leave you with here is that salespeople tend to think that the more they speak is the better they are doing in selling, and clearly that's not the case. But one thing that's run throughout this series of the Gigonomics series is customers, and listening to customers and empowering your customers, as we're saying here. Customers are going to come back to the person who listened to them, who made them feel important, who answered their questions, solved their problems, who gave them information that was pertinent to their needs, wants, hopes, and desires. That's the main message here that we want you to take away on selling. Yeah. It is all about you saying more than your customers. So, how to get your customer to spend? And the spend is an acronym. Situation, problem, effect, need, and decision. SPEND acronym. I'll just unpack that a little bit more for you. Asking the right questions. What's the situation? What's the customer's context? What's the problem? What challenges are they facing? Effect. How are these problems affecting them? Need. What's the solutions do they need? And what are the next steps? What's the decision you're going to help them to make? And if you can link your product to their needs, then the likelihood is you're going to effect a sale. So spend. So let's try it out. So what's the situation? This is our cake baking example. What kind of functions do you have? What's the problem? Do you find it hard to find appetizing snacks that are also healthy? So the effects question, how do people respond when you serve them biscuits or brushings? And the need, what kind of baked goods would you like to serve instead? And then that takes a decision. So we can provide a tasty range of healthy muffins that your people will really enjoy. When would you like my proposal? So just using a series of questions while in the background you're working through the SPEND acronym in your head. The asking questions is going to tease out the need of the customer so that you can bring them to a point where a decision. Very simple little model. Like I said, sales is a huge area. A lot more could be said, but I think this is just a simple little tool for you as Gigonomics entrepreneurs or gig entrepreneurs to help you to get control of this space, at least have some idea about where you're going when you're trying to bring your customer to a buying decision. Then there's also negotiation. How to create a win-win situation in negotiation. Again, there's a lot that we could say here, but we're trying to just throw some ideas to you to give you some tools to help you along the way. So we're not going to try. This is not an in-depth analysis of how to negotiate, but just some pointers of things that are important things you can start doing. So first of all, is to understand again what the client wants out of the deal. Show some empathy with the client. Focus on value rather than price. If the customer is convinced they're going to get great value from your products or services, price will be a secondary issue. Yeah. But if they're not convinced about the value, then price will be a major issue. So emphasize the features, advantages, and benefits of your offering in contrast to their need or to their wants and needs. Just rattling off features and advantages and benefits of your products without having a clear idea about what their needs are, then you're just wasting your breath. I only offer a discount on extras as a last resort. Do not unpack your product offering or your service offering and get into discounting bits of each of the products or services. You will undermine the value proposition of your products. Know your bottom line, be prepared to walk away. This is really important. You really do need to have the discipline to say, and especially if you understand the 1/3 rule. Your variable cost 1/3, your fixed cost 1/3, your profit 1/3. You can work with trimming your profit margin if it will help you to get the business. But if you don't know what your total costs are and you get into negotiations, the likelihood is that you will undercut yourself and you will do the job at a loss, and that will disadvantage your business and cause you to go out of business in a short space of time. Know your costs, or at least know your variable costs and know how your cost structured. So know your bottom line. Be prepared to walk away. Yeah, your client will respect you more if you say, actually, I'd rather walk away from this piece of business and leave on good terms rather than end up doing the job at a price that you are resentful about because you're finding that actually you're losing money. So aim for win-win. Okay, another chat. Your customers asking you to deliver 100 large assorted muffins for their business conference, and you've quoted $1,800 including delivery for this. Now they want to chop your price. What do you do? Any ideas? Thank you. Ideas starting to come. So, yep, I'll give you a 10% discount. Charlton is saying, great one, Charlton. These are the best muffins in town. Great. Delivery is free of charge. Fantastic. Yeah. Any other ideas? Reflect the customer's need to get value. Yeah, excellent. So remind the customer why they asked you to engage in the first place. I like that one, Silas. The value that you brought to the table. Okay. So these are large muffins, and they are working out at $18 per muffin. Where can you buy good quality, high quality muffins for $18? Yeah. So show them that they're getting good value. Always focus on the value. Explain the competitiveness vis-a-vis the high street. $18 per muffin. That's exceptional quality. That you're only using the best ingredients. You're giving a homemade product in a business context. Yeah. Reflect to them, what it's going to do for their brand. To be seen to be supplying quality products, and it's selective quality products, clearly not mass produced, but selective quality products in this way. It's going to enhance their brand. Yeah, good idea. And another tactic is to say, fine, okay, if this doesn't meet your requirements, then I can revise the quote. I can do a middle-sized muffin for a lower price. But don't allow them to keep the value proposition as is and just chop your price or just work on your price. Say, look, I can give you a cheaper price, but it's going to be a smaller muffin, or there's going to be less variety, or there's going to be. So you see that way you're showing that actually the price is linked to the quality. Yeah? There is a clear value proposition here. Okay. And again, be willing to walk away if the argument or if the conversation is going in the right direction. Simba picked up the point earlier on about if the client goes to price very quickly, and what do you do in a situation like that? Again, you're providing a value service, or you're providing a value product. And if you allow yourself to talk about that product only in terms of price, then in a sense you're saying that you're not offering anything different from the marketplace. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we've got to be seeing ourselves as operating in a market where we're offering something that's unique, that is better than the average compared to the market. If it's not, then say that, then yes, then go on price. But if it's something that you've spent time on, you've developed, and it's a unique product, or it has a unique experience, service experience, then say that and associate the value with it. You know, people respect you as, if it's a service, will respect you as a service provider if you say, actually, I won't even get out of bed for that price. You know, if that's what they want, because typically what happens if you get driven down on price, those are the very same people that will not want to pay you on time, pay you late, hold back some of the fee that you want to charge them, and they are the ones that want to give you trouble, because really they have no respect for value, and you don't want customers who have no respect for value. You want to deal with customers who have respect for value and are willing to pay for quality work. And if they're not in that space, then you're better off not doing business with them. And I know that's a tough discipline, but it's an important discipline, because those people will tell other people and destroy your brand. Yeah. Okay, so be fab, be fabulous. Muffins are healthy and delicious. They are homemade from fresh ingredients, and you will delight your staff and your clients. So features, advantages, and benefits. Yeah, and Leon is a really good contribution here. He's saying if a customer just wants to go to price, I'd address this concern, find out why they're only concerned about the price. What is their budget? What's their expectations for this budget? And yes, adjust the product accordingly. But it can't be they want a high quality product at a low price. I know a lot of people are thinking like that, but you've got to be willing to educate them. If you don't, then you're always going to be driven into that space by that particular client and everybody that's associated with that client. So it's a really important point. Thank you, Leon. Okay. Customer experience, the third and final part of this session. It's been a long session today. Customer experience. What does customer experience mean? The product of all interactions between the organization and a customer over the duration of the relationship. Some key points there. It's the product or sum total of all the interactions, not just the sales, but even post-sales, after-sales of interactions. And it's between the customer and the organization over the duration of the relationship. It's not focused on a simple one-off sale. It's on the life cycle of the relationship. I'll just show you a short video here.
Afternoon, sir.
May I have one bag of these lovely red apples, please?
That depends, sir.
On what?
On whether I have any apples in stock, sir.
There are literally dozens of apples here. Why, I can see them with my very own 2 eyes.
That's as may be, sir, but I'm afraid you'll have to call head office to find out if I've got any available to sell, sir.
Head office?
Yes, sir, the National Apple Office, sir.
What? But this is ridiculous.
You can't expect me to just look and see if I've got any apples, sir. My job is to sell apples, not to know if I've got any apples to sell, sir.
Oh, good heavens, man.
That's the number, sir.
Oh, very well. Hello? Is that the National Apples Office? Yes, I'm calling from...
Kevin's Apple Shop.
Kevin's Apple Shop. I wondered if you could tell me if you had any apples in stock there. There are. Thank you. There. A bag of apples, please.
Certainly, sir. What type, sir?
What?
What type, sir? I've got Baldwin, Blenheim, Brayburn, Bramley, Cameo, Cortland, Cox's, Cripps, Egremont, Elstar, Empire, Gala, Annie Cripps, Jonah Gold, McCoo, Noble Blush, Pippin, Pink Pearl and Down, Red Delicious, Ribston, Roxbury, Rome, Granny Smith's, Gravenstein, of course, the ever-popular Golden Delicious, sir.
Oh, for God's sake, I don't care. I just want some apples.
You have to choose a variety, sir. I can't just give you any old apples. More than my job's worth, sir.
All right. All right. I'll have 6 Golden Delicious apples, then. 6 Golden Delicious, I say!
Sorry, sir.
What?
You can't expect me to know if I've got any Golden Delicious in stock, sir?
But this is ludicrous. Does that mean I have to call the National Apples Office
sir,
again?
yes, sir,
Very
yes, sir.
well. Hello? Is that the National Apples office? Yes, I'm calling from Kevin's Apple Shop. I wanted to know if you had any golden delicious apples in stock there. No? Oh.
Oh, dear. Well, ask what I do have in stock then, sir.
Very well. Which varieties do you have in stock there? Yes. Baldwin, Blenheim, Braben, Bramley, Cameo, Cortland, Coxes and Cripps, Egremont, Elstar, Empire and Gala, Honeycrisp, Jonah God, Macoon, Noble Blush, Pippin, Biffin, Pig, Pearl and Doan, Red Delicious, Ribston, Roxbury and Rome, Granny Smith and Gravenstein. Thank you. Every single type of apple except Golden Delicious, then.
Oh, that is an unfortunate coincidence, sir. Well, what other type of apple would you like, sir?
Do you take me for a fool, sir?
But where are you driving at, sir?
I'll say which type of apple I want, and then there'll be some other problem, and I'll have to call the National Apples office again and repeat the whole absurd palaver.
Not at all, sir.
Honestly?
I'm my dear old mother's grave, sir.
All right, I'll have 6 Granny Smiths, then.
You certainly can have, sir. Here you are, sir. 6 lovely Granny Smith's apples, sir.
Might I have them in a bag?
Beg your pardon, sir?
A bag! Might I have my apples in a bag?
Sorry, sir?
A paper bag!
A paper bag,
Yes,
sir?
a paper bag! Like one of those over there!
Can't expect me to know if I've got any paper bags, sir. I'm afraid you'll have to call the National Paper Bag Office, sir.
Okay, so a bit of slapstick English humour there, but what went wrong? What was going wrong there? I know it's a very a huge parody of a customer situation, but there are some threads there of problems that you've faced in dealing with companies or shops or consumers where you had problems, and what are the kind of issues that immediately come to mind when you think about that little clip? Give me some on the chat. Yep. Right, so saying the customer doesn't know what he wants. Yeah, okay, so it's the customer's problem, was it? Right, Justine, okay. That was not very helpful, absolutely. Customer is king, they may well be, but not in that shop. Keep going, what else? What else was going wrong in there? Customer had a horrible experience, is not likely to go to Apple shop. I would say, I would totally agree. But there's some other things that were wrong there. But there was a, thank you. It's the sales rep or the salesperson didn't actually know. They saw their job very narrowly as something to sell products. They didn't know how many products was there. They didn't know what they had in stock, and they had no incentive to go and help the customer to find it. They had complicated processes for identifying stock, and they expected the customer to know how to navigate their very awkward processes. And this is a typical situation where customers are faced with a complex a service, and there's a complex process behind that service, and the customer doesn't know how to navigate it. And yet the person at the till, the person that's interfacing with the customer, expects that the customer should know how to navigate. So this is typical of banks. Banks have a very complicated process for getting money, to put money in, taking money out, all sorts of charges, and especially in where we are here in Namibia, they're very complicated. You can spend, a quick visit to the bank to take you over an hour because of these complicated processes, back office processes. And you're expected to know, whereas obviously you don't know. And this takes us into the customer service and customer experience, and how to manage that customer experience. The service exchange model is an idea that we want to bring to your attention. I'm just seeing an interjection from someone from Jeanette that reminds me of some government offices. It reminds us of quite a lot of government offices, irrespective of where that government office is, in which country it is. It's very, very typical. Anyway, the service exchange model. In service exchange, it says that service is an exchange between the customer and the service supplier or the company. And it's a series of exchanges going on there. And there's three key areas that you need to take cognizance of. First of all, the brand message. So the brand message says that, you know, this is a one-stop shop. You come here, you get everything you want on the spot. To say what you should expect when you come and engage with this particular service. And then there are service deliverables. Deliverables are things like products or the service or that you're actually looking to acquire, that you're looking to buy. You know, it's the primary reason why you're going to this particular company, whether it is employment services or whether it is baked beans off a supermarket shelf. These are the deliverables that you expect from the service organizer or from the organization. And then the engagement, the service engagement. This is the engagement that you have with the shop assistant, or even if it's an automatic machine, a teller, or an ATM like the banks use. It's the engagement you expect to get from there. So, for instance, you know, they may say to you, everything financial, you know, you can get all of those services from our automatic teller machine. You go there and you want to get, you know, you want to secure a loan, let's say, I don't know, and the ATM will set up, do the initial vetting to tell you whether you are eligible for a loan. I mean, I'm taking a hypothetical situation, but it may not be actually a person you're speaking to. It may be a machine that you're speaking to, or a robot or something like that. So these are the three key areas of a service exchange, and there aren't anything else. So you're either you've got the brand messaging, you're going to get the deliverable, or you've got an engagement, a service engagement. And what we say here is that all of these three things need to be in sync. And implicit in each of these areas is a promise. So when you listen to the messaging of the brand, there's a brand promise. This is what you can expect from us. When you listen to when you look at the deliverables, there's a promise of quality of the different types of deliverables. And thirdly, there is, when you look at the engagement, there is a promise that, you know, when you engage with us, you're going to get quality and appropriate service engagement from our staff or from our automatic teller machines or our robots. There's a certain level of quality that you can expect. And the service experience is made up of the composite, if you like, or the sum total of all of these interchanges and the experience on these three different levels. In order to get a quality experience, all three dimensions, the brand, deliverables, engagement, have to be managed from the customer's point of view. This is what makes it work. So we have a series of polls here. Which dimension of service exchange has failed in the following experience? So, for instance, you go to an ATM and it's frequently out of service. Is that a brand issue? Is that a deliverables issue? Or is that an engagement issue? Just quickly on the poll, launch the poll. Give me some answers on that one. What do you think the problem is? Is it a brand failure, a deliverables failure, or a service failure, or service engagement failure? Quickly, have you got some feedback for me? Yep. Just sort of go to your poll and just vote quickly on that. What do you think it is? Great, great. Okay, so the first one is a delivery, a delivery promise. You know that the ATMs are going to deliver money, or they're going to deliver services, whatever those services are, but primarily money. I go there and the ATMs are out of service, so I cannot get the deliverable that I'm expecting from those ATMs. So that's primarily a deliverables failure. Second one, long queues in a fast food restaurant. What's the issue there? Long queues in a fast food restaurant, again, just in your poll, is that a brand failure, a deliverables failure, or an engagement failure?
Yep. For the banks, 63% said that it's a deliverable failure, and then
Yep.
25% service, and then 13% as brand
Yep.
failure. And then for the fast food, as again service failure most, and then 13% brand and 13% deliverable.
Good. On the second one, on the queues, long queues in a fast food restaurant. Well, you're expecting fast food, so if you've got long queues, it's a failure at the brand level. Yeah, so the branding is wrong. You're not getting fast food at you know, you're promising something that you're not living up to. So definitely a brand, but it's also an engagement issue. So yes, that I can see the argument that is coming through. The third one, you're receiving the wrong item from an online order delivery. Again, very quickly, what's the issue there? You're getting the wrong product or wrong item from an online order. That's a deliverables issue. Deliverables issue. We're getting the wrong thing, and where you've got deliverables issues, you need to look at your production cycle. You know, how is it that orders are going in and we're getting the wrong items coming out? So we need to fix our internal processes, and process improvement exercise needs to go on there. And then the final one is that our pharmacy phone line is constantly engaged. Our pharmacy phone line is constantly engaged. Again, an engagement promise. And again, I mean, you know, you can see how each of those dimensions are touched on, because as much as it could be, and it's definitely a primary engagement problem, but it could also be a brand problem, because, you know, if we're saying that we've branded ourselves as an online pharmacy, and you can go in there and you can get your questions answered and get a fast service, then we're branding it incorrectly. You know, maybe we should be sending, you know, we should be saying, send us an email and we'll answer it in 3 days' time, or something like that. So you can see how these three dimensions are interlinked: the deliverables, the engagement, and the brand are interlinked, and all of these three dimensions contribute to the brand experience. So ask yourself the question: does your service live up to the brand promise? Are my customers consistently satisfied with the quality of my deliverables? And thirdly, do my customers feel valued during all engagements with my business? Okay, thank you. In this session, we learned about marketing, the 4 C's and the simple pricing model. We learned about sales, the spend model, win-win negotiation, and customer experience and service engagement. This has been a long session, and our next steps getting ideas for self-study, practice. These ones I've given you a lot of material in this one because marketing and sales is such a big area. But we're giving you a lot of tools in this area, and you really do need to practice them to make them work for you. Reflect on those, and do not forget the Facebook platform for discussion and sharing your ideas. Thank you very much for your time and for your contributions. We look forward to speaking to you next week on the finance aspects of your business opportunity. Take care, and to all of you as gig entrepreneurs or potential gig entrepreneurs, good luck, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.